What's up with it? You already know what time it is. There's only two things in life that you can control: your effort and your attitude. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. Are you going to dive right in or are you going to stay in the shallow end? Welcome to the My Turn podcast. It's your host, Hood Rich Carlton, back at it again with another one. Excited to have this young lady on. We're doing it a little bit different today. We're going to bring on somebody that, may have different views than I do, but also views that we share together. And we're going to show you that you can have conversations with people that you may perceive that think differently of you, but you may end up realizing that you actually have a lot in common. So without further ado, Melissa.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a little bit of time, since the college days, but we're happy to have you on. Thanks for making it to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. This is pretty epic, and I'm excited to be here and chat with you. So, thanks for having me.
No, we're happy to have you too. I follow you on Snapchat. I see, what you do, and I'm going to let you talk about, kind of what you do and who you are as well. But first, we got a video to react to.
A little controversial snap.
Come on, you already know what time it is.
VP Biden. I will. It's a long way until November. We got more questions. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see. Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time I've run. Come on. Take a look at the record.
I'm going to cut it off there because what are your thoughts on a presidential candidate making a comment like that?
Come on, man. I mean, who makes a comment like that is leading the free world, first of all? He's a spitfire. I would say that. Obviously, free speech is something that, the Republican Party really stands for, and we try to protect as much as we can. But stuff like that off the cuff, I don't know. I feel like that's a little touchy. I can't stand in anyone's shoes that's of a different racial ethnicity than me. And I don't know how he can pretend that he can know what you're thinking or know if you're black or white or brown. I think it's just controversial. Some of the stuff.
It feels like pandering.
Yeah, absolutely. And call a spade a spade. I'll probably use that term a lot. It's one of my favorite sayings. But
yeah,
that's racist. It's a white guy that's 84, 85, however old he is. Saying someone's not black when he's talking to a black person. That's just stuff that you don't say. That's how I was raised, and you treat everyone how you want to be treated, and that's just not appropriate, I feel like. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. For me, the hood has looked the same for every president. So until they do something about that, I agree with Charlemagne. Like, we want to know what presidential candidate is going to do something for us, because I grew up my whole life just being a Democrat because, it just was what I knew. I didn't know anything else. And I just knew the Republican Party was the opposite. But once I grew up, I realized that maybe I feel some way about like stuff that the Democratic Party does, but I also feel some kind of way about the Republican Party. And then my views may align in the middle. And where is the place for a black person that's in the middle of the political spectrum?
Yeah. And to counter with that is, no one's going to have a view of what a black person's role in society is unless they are that person, right? I can't tell me, to go do a certain thing or act a certain way if that's not me or if that's not who I am, right? So, I think, it's touchy when, you have a president, regardless of their race, ethnicity, Democrat or Republican. If they go into a neighborhood, or they run on the platform of, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to change the whole world. We're going to take, everyone in low income housing, and we're going to, help you sustain your own living, pay your own rent, get you a mortgage, whatever that looks like. You can run on that all day long. You can talk all day long.
Yeah.
But what are you physically, mentally, like, actually going to do?
Yep.
That's going to,
impact it. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I think let's not jump the gun. Why don't you just tell? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, yourself, what you do, and kind of, how you're in the political space and what you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, 29 years young, going to be the big 3-0 next year. Don't know how that's happened already. Me and Alex went to UNI together, so it's definitely been a long time coming for chatting and getting back together.
Sure.
But I have been involved with politics. I don't really like to use that term, but been involved pretty actively for about 2 years. My mom kind of got me involved. She knows anything and everything about politics. Is very smart, very influential person in the state of Iowa. She does have a lot to do with the state of Iowa, Republican Party. So I've met a lot of presidential candidates, in the 2016 campaign.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's cool to just kind of get involved that way. Right now, for the past year, I've been involved with the Iowa Young Republicans. So throughout the state, we have chartered groups, or chapters, what we call them. We don't cover all 99 counties yet, but we're hoping to at some point.
Yeah, it's a lot of counties.
Yeah, it is, especially when they're all rural. It takes forever to get anywhere. Yeah, so I've been involved with that for a while. I am the chairwoman of one of the local chapters. That covers like 7 counties. It's kind of a big task. And then I'm also the events chair for the entire state. So planning, like our state convention, our Christmas party, stuff like that.
Yeah. Sounds like you got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, I do. On top of working full time, it's like right off when you can chew, but here we are.
You're dedicating your free time as you have a job. And when you do that, it really shows a commitment that you have to it. And I think that's pretty commendable. What I would say is, and I could be wrong, but I feel like nowadays when somebody hears like Republican Party, and they're thinking Trump Party.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. No, 100%. And that's one thing, I'm sure we'll touch on here is like, in my opinion, Trump was a great president. I voted for him. But the Republican Party is not one individual person's party, right? The Republican Party stands for values that we'll get to. And, just like the Democratic Party, there's a lot of values behind that party as well. So kind of, choose which lane, but you're the party that aligns with your values is kind of where I'm at. So,
yeah, it's funny because, I have did a little bit more with myself and got myself a good job. My wife is a nurse, so she has a pretty good job as well too. And, as you start making more money, I totally could see how you could vote one way strictly off your money.
Oh yeah.
To be completely honest.
Yeah. Just to touch on a few things like tax, we literally get taxed on everything, right? We work full time, me, your wife works full time. We get taxed on our income, that goes to certain programs that people are enrolled through the state. Death tax, sales tax, property tax. There's so many things that, politicians need to kind of run more, in my opinion, on, decreasing those taxes and figuring out a different way to suffice what's needed.
Would you say that the Republican Party is more about money? Because I feel like the Democratic Party is more like about your feelings and, you know, making sure everybody is living a good life, right? And, you know, the Republican Party is like, you know, we don't necessarily care about that as much. We want to just make sure, you know, taxes are right and things like that. What would you say to somebody that says that?
Yeah, honestly, and that's where it gets muddy water, right? So, I mean, I'll touch briefly on, you know, why I am a Republican. You know, low taxes is one.
I can agree with you on that too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, when it comes to money, like, I don't know if you've seen Madam Secretary, the documentary,
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's on
But,
Netflix.
yeah, but like money can like sway either party politician, right? I mean, in that
Right.
regard, people will do sketchy things for money. That is for sure. That's probably something we can both agree on. But
for sure.
I would say, you know, I am a Republican because of the pro-life. You know, obviously that gets pretty muddy water too, but like pro-life, I'm 100% for life, right? So if you know, I don't agree with the Democratic view on that, or most of the far left on that issue. You know, I would say Second Amendment, you know, free speech, a lot of the things that you think most Americans would kind of agree on, and we do to a certain extent. But then you do kind of get into the, well, you know, I am pro-life because of this.
Right.
Why?
It becomes divisive.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where it's like, you know, there's two parties, and then there's also the independent party.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you don't have to literally choose one person to support. You know, you can support which party aligns with your values. Is kind of what us young Republicans do and what our goal is.
You know, I feel you on that point, and most people, I feel like, right, they roll in a herd mentality, so they don't even necessarily need to hear like other points. If they hear one point that they agree with, then, you know, they're rolling with that, and really whatever comes with it, they're just going to do it. And I think that's detrimental. I think people have to start deciding things for themselves and stop looking at other people. They have to do the research and believe in what they want to, you know, be a part of first before they go join anything. And I feel like you've done that.
Yeah, and that's, you know, thank you. I, you know, try to. I think, you know, most of us in this world really try to live each day to, you know, what we value, what we believe in, what we think is right. And there's always going to be someone that has a different opinion or, you know, conflicting interests from us, right? That's how we do choose a herd to some extent. You know, our inner circle, our family, our, you know, husband or wife, or you know, aunts and uncles, our distant family. You know, we have those people to surround us, and that's in our inner circle. And I think that's important too, is just to be able to use that free speech, and be able to communicate about what you believe in, what your values are. And if, you know, if someone disagrees with it, you know, that's fine. They have every right to do that. But, you know, we don't need to start World War III, you know, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Why do you think they're not able to hear somebody's opinion and not feel attacked? Because, you know, and I'll tell you, and I don't necessarily agree with everything Donald Trump did, but one thing that I do agree with, and I've told my friends, my family, and they get mad at me for it, like, you're black, why would you say that? I feel like when he said what he said he was going to do, and people were mad because it wasn't like, I'm doing this for the hood or I'm bringing this program. He's like, this is what I'm going to do. And he kind of said, these are the people I'm going to do it for. And then he did that. Like, I wish, and I don't know, but I wish Obama would have, and I love him to death. He's my favorite president, but I kind of wanted him to be OG. Like, I wanted him to come in and just be like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. I don't care what you say. I'm going to do this by any means. I don't care who hates me, right? If I have to pull strings, I have to do whatever. Like, isn't that the job of a leader?
Yeah. 100%.
Not just the country, but like a business. Isn't that the job of a leader?
Yeah, and I agree too. And I think it's, more so of, voting for these politicians. And I think that's one thing Donald Trump did show us, regardless of your opinion on him, is that, get in there, get things done. And if, you stay another 4 years, you do, you don't, whatever the decision is, at least you can say, I came, I conquered, got these things done that I said I was going to do. I feel like a lot of people can stand by someone or want to be around someone or support someone who says they're going to do something and they follow through with that. I mean, just in your life, if you had a friend or a family member that said, oh, I'm going to get this done, every single year they said the same stuff. They never did any of that. It's like, man, come on. Like,
yeah. What's your word at that point?
Yeah. What's your word worth? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, just not to, bash on anyone by any means, but, there's some stuff that Trump said or did that I didn't agree with him either. But that
I was just about to go there. Right? Yeah.
Like angry bad man. Okay. Mean tweets at late in the morning, early morning, whatever it was. But like you said, he said he was going to do certain things and he did those things. Right. So he showed up, which was super important, I feel like. And he did run the country similar to a business, regardless of what his past was, what his dad gave to him or didn't give to him. He shows up every day and he gets things done. And I think that's super beneficial. So
do you think that, because when I heard that, right, I think back to you being a woman and him making the comment like, grab her by the Yahoo Wadada.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you say if like I have a daughter, right? And I'm like, oh, and she hears that, like, how do I explain that? Or how would you explain it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a few things to say about that. I guess one would be, how many guys do you know that have said something like that maybe once a week, once a month, once a year?
A couple.
Okay, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, wrong place, wrong time, I said the wrong thing, it was caught on camera. And that's one thing that we can kind of teach the youth today, especially because social media is so prevalent, is like, they don't really understand, they can't wrap their brain around it, right? Like, once you say something or put something on the internet, like, that is there forever. Like, that is a lasting effect on your life. So, like, I mean, that's a teachable moment, right? With a lot of things that have been happening lately.
Yeah.
But I would also counter and say, how many dirty politicians are there in this world, regardless of which party? Look at Jeffrey Epstein. He wasn't a politician, but I mean, there's so many things that people do on a daily basis.
Right.
Who are, people who are judges or politicians or teachers, and I think making that a teachable moment and how to learn from that and just be better as a people is super important.
Yeah, I think that's.
What's your take on that? Like,
yeah, that's super. I feel like that's an honest answer from you. And yes, I would agree that like guys have, especially if you're younger, have said a comment like that. And I think the sucky part about it is that you can make one comment like that, whether you're Donald Trump or whoever, and it will take away from all of the good things that you have done. So, when it comes to that, like, what do you even do? You kind of just don't care about what they say then, right? Because you can look at the good, and I think that's indicative of life, right?
Right.
I look at the good that I do. Right. I don't necessarily hear somebody say something bad about me and then be like, oh, I believe that, like, it is what it is at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's super important thing to grasp too is like, you know, we're all human. Like at the end of the day, like we are all people, and like, you know, when Donald Trump said that in the locker room or wherever it was, you know, regardless of what he said in the past, is like, you know, look at what Joe Biden just said yesterday. Like calling somebody a son of a bitch, like while the mic's hot. Like,
Mhm.
you know, regardless, like at the end of the day, we're all human, but like we've all been in that situation where we said something, we weren't thinking it through, we wished we
Mhm.
could take it back. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
it is life. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree.